Pete Davidson is like Taylor Swift, but with a big dick, allegedly. And yes, that title might be a bit much, but I genuinely think that's the best way to describe him. Pete is massively talented, but makes mostly headlines with his love life.
I'm just Pete. My dating life is not discreet. I generate tons of publicity for everything except my comedy.
Which is pretty much what Taylor had to endure for years.
Watch out, she'll write a song about you. That joke is so old.
Just like Taylor, Pete is now in his 30s.
30 and flirty and thriving.
And just like her, there's much more about him than just his dating life. There's actually only one point in which they are completely different, besides only one of them having a penis. But first, because it is what most people know him for, yes, Pete has dated quite a few beautiful celebrity women. Ariana Grande, Kate Beckinsale, Kaya Gerber, Kim Kardashian, Emily Ratajkowski, just to name the most famous ones. So he was busy, just like Taylor. But to quote Carrie Bradshaw, enjoy it. That's what your 20s are for. And by the way, you don't have to stop when you're 30 or ever. Still, there is a bit of a double standard, as Taylor was slut-shamed much more. But it's not like Pete wasn't judged either.
She won Billboard's Woman of the Year, and I got called Butthole Eyes.
Why are good-looking, successful, put-together women, why are they drawn like a moth to a flame to skeet?
I mean, the answer is quite easy.
I mean, he seems super charming.
Yep.
He's vulnerable.
Yep.
He's lovely.
Great.
His fingernail polish is awesome. Like, he looks good.
There you go.
He's great.
But this isn't a video about why women love Pete Davidson. And I already have one about why funny is sexy. This is a video about more than that. Because just like Taylor, who still makes headlines with her love life, Pete has more to offer. Look, art is a matter of taste, but you don't have to be a fan of Taylor Swift's music to acknowledge her talent. And when a 19-year-old gets cast on SNL by basically just being himself, there's also got to be something about him.
My agent called me and said, Bill Hader recommended you for SNL. I was just talking about like my mom, because I was living with my mom and stuff, so I was just doing jokes like that. So I was like, there's no fucking way that I would get this.
But what sets Pete apart from a lot of other comedians is that it's funny when he talks about his life, even though his life wasn't always funny. Like when he was 7 years old and his dad died as a firefighter at the 9/11 attacks, which is something Pete did joke about.
I remember my dad died, and my mom was like, your dad's dead, but we got you a PlayStation 2. And I was like, yeah, cool. I was like, that seems about even.
It wasn't like a frequent thing.
People would be like, oh, he's probably just talking about his dead dad all the time. It's like, yo, I made 2 jokes about my dad in a span of like 15 years. Like, to act like I'm just like this, like, feel bad for me, my dad, like, that's just such bullshit.
Still, some thought he's nuts. And they would be kind of right about that.
I'm just Pete and I like drugs. I'm mentally ill and I'm on drugs.
Although I wouldn't use those exact words. Pete was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. He has PTSD. He suffers from depression and anxiety. And all of this seems pretty tragic.
I've been in therapy since I'm 7.
Okay.
Like at least twice a week.
And yet, he makes it part of his comedy. And that is amazing. But it doesn't mean that it's always easy.
The last couple of years, I've just been trying to dial it back where, like, I don't want to not be open. I love talking to people. I love connecting with people. That's, like, why you do it. But there is that certain element of, like, you know, now because of the internet, you sort of feel like you do have to kind of defend yourself.
Yet people think it's completely okay to ask out loud why this weird guy gets all those beautiful women. And with that, we're kind of back at square one. The women.
Pete has got to be literally the best human being I've ever met.
I, of course, don't know him personally, but he truly seems like a nice guy, and not the creepy kind. After Ariana Grande happily spilled intimate details about him,
She was like, yeah, it didn't work out, but like, nice dick.
and called him a nice distraction, he didn't lash out either. Well, not much.
Can you imagine if I did that? My career would be over tomorrow. If I spray painted myself brown and hopped on the cover of Vogue magazine and just started shitting on my ex. So sometimes life is a little unfair.
Making himself the butt of his jokes is something he does a lot.
What is Pete Davidson's secret when it comes to love and relationships?
I don't know, I guess dress kind of homeless.
His Ken song was the icing on the cake. Many think it's his best work so far, and I'd agree.
I'm just Pete, looking like a meth head on the street.
But sometimes I wonder if they're just jokes or something more.
I think I was like, I can make fun of myself better than all of you. It made me feel like Teflon because, you know, I was just like, whatever joke you say, I have a better one about myself.
To me, it seems like he still does that, which seems ridiculous. I mean, like, how could somebody who's so successful have a low self-esteem or think they're not good enough? But there are, of course, more than enough people who doubt their own success or belittle themselves. So much so that there's even a word for it, or 2 words. imposter syndrome. And that's the one point in which Pete Davidson and Taylor Swift are completely different. And I'm not saying that Taylor isn't relatable or needs to be more modest. I even think that it wouldn't hurt if Pete was more like her in this point too.
There are going to be people along the way who will try to undercut your success or take credit for your accomplishments. But if you just focus on the work and you don't let those people sidetrack you, someday when you get where you're going, you'll look around and you will know that it was you and the people who love you who put you there. And that will be the greatest feeling in the world.
I mean, most people tend to be too modest or humble when they should be proud of themselves and shout it from the rooftop. Taylor also had to learn to stand up for herself and be proud out loud. And when she did, some people didn't like her as much anymore. But so what? She still did her thing and conquered the world anyway. Carrie Bradshaw said the 30s are to learn the lessons. And I hope that Pete, like a lot of people, learns this one. Because yes, women seem to have a thing for him, but it's not only them. There is an overwhelming amount of people who have so much respect for him or even thank him because he made them laugh in a time of their life where they didn't have anything to laugh about, or just because he made them feel seen. So it's not women love Pete Davidson, but people love Pete Davidson. And I don't know if he's the next Taylor Swift when it comes to world domination.
What are we gonna do tomorrow night?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
But he definitely has the potential to not only be a brilliant comedian, but also a role model.
Being mentally ill is not an excuse to act like a jackass, okay?
And I just hope he's all right.